Hi, this is another episode of the UX News. I'm your host, Tommy Sai, and today we're going to have an online talk with Xander Corvus. Hi, Xander.
Hi, how are you?
Good, and you?
Doing well. Yeah, I'm doing okay. Just chilling, enjoying Europe, which is really nice.
So, tell us a little bit about you.
Well, I am almost 14-year adult film veteran now. I started when I was like 19, so yeah, I've been doing this for almost 14 years. That's crazy. Wow. It's always weird when you think about it. You're like, Jesus, that's a long time. But I lived in LA for 15 years. I'm originally from Ohio.
Okay.
I lived in Vegas for the last 3 years, and then in January I moved to Europe. So I've been shooting porn for 14 years. About 5 or 6 years ago, I got contracted to shoot with MindGeek companies.
Okay.
So Brazzers, Reality Kings, all that kind of stuff. So I've been doing that for the last 5 or 6 years, and yeah.
So tell us, how did you end up in this business?
I actually, it was okay. So you know how there's the writer's strike going on in LA right now in Hollywood. I don't know if you know.
Mm-hmm.
In the American movie industry, there's a strike going on where the writers are refusing to write or work until they get a better deal. Like everybody knows what strikes are. We're all aware of what labor action is. When not the first one, but when the last one that happened before this in 2008, I think it was 2007, 2008, I was just working as a mainstream actor in LA. And I was living on my own. I was working like 3 jobs. The writer's strike happened and just all the work completely disappeared. So there was zero acting work to like supplement my my living there alone as like a fucking 18, 19-year-old.
Right.
And so I was working at this bar, and I ended up making a joke while I was working in there. And this is a bar where like a bunch of old like Hollywood producers and directors and all that kind of stuff would go. It was this little like hole in the wall bar restaurant in Sherman Oaks, California, called the Oyster House Saloon.
Mm-hmm.
And it was basically like all the old guys who shot on fucking MASH and just like all these old like American TV shows. So I made a joke while I was working there about like how there's no work for like a young actor in American porn sorry, there's no work for a young mainstream actor like just getting into the business. So I made a joke about quitting acting and just doing porn. And then it just kept rolling in this joke that we were making at the bar. We were all just drinking and being stupid. And then finally one guy was like, oh yeah, you think you could do it? Like, I actually know someone at Penthouse, and let's call him right now. And I was like, no, like, you don't have to do that. Like it's like whatever. And he was calling my bluff. So we ended up doing it. And then, yeah, like 2 or 3 weeks later, I got the call from one of the directors of Penthouse. Is like, hey, like we got this shoot. If you want to try, go get tested and do all this stuff and then come do it. And then I was like, sure, fuck, man. Like, all right, like, as I'd be making significantly more money than just like working at a bar or whatever. And I was just like, man, I'm not even able to pay rent right now or anything. So it was one of those choices where it's like, yeah, fuck it. Like, let's give it a shot and see how it is, So the first day I worked, I did a shoot with my very first shoot ever was with Janet Mason.
Okay.
And she was awesome. She was she's like redheaded, like really pretty milfy girl, like awesome. And so my first scene, I just had sex like I would have sex at home. Like I had no fucking idea what I'm doing. I'm just like I know how to have sex, but I don't have sex for the camera. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like so the first one I just did it. I had no idea what was going on. And then the second scene of the day, the second male talent. This is back when they used in the Penthouse when they used to shoot 2 scenes a day. And so the second male talent like just didn't show up. It was like a no call, no show.
Uh-huh. And
so the director was like all pissed off, and he was like, hey, new guy, you got another one in you? And I was like, abso-fucking-lutely. Like, yes, like definitely. This is the first time I've touched fake boobs. Like, let's go. Like, this is great. Like, and so like I did the second scene, and then after that they were just like, oh shit, like this dude on his first day did 2 scenes, and let's keep shooting them. So my first like year or so in the industry, I was also only working like contract with Penthouse.
But when you started, was it the way you expected it to be? Like, this is what you were expecting?
No. No, because like, I think especially in the US, I don't know how it is in Europe so much, but especially in the US, there's a huge like stigma about what the adult film industry is. I think people in the US in most cases just think it's this like wild drugs, party, sex, orgy, fucking chaos thing. Like that's what everybody just imagines, right?
It's the same here. This is what people think here. It's the same thing. Yeah. Like everybody's fucking with everybody. You know, the light technician is fucking with the cleaning woman and, you know, things like that.
Yep. So yeah, I mean, that's like what I expected. But then when I got there, I was like, oh my God, there's like paperwork and like structure and like lighting and like, you know, a whole movie crew, you know, kind of thing. And scripts. Like I was just like, holy shit. Like
it's a job. Crazy. It's a job.
This is an actual job. And, you know, it's still a really fun job, but you know, it's definitely a job. And like, I remember one of the things that really blew my mind was, you know, I worked on Nickelodeon and I worked on like a bunch of indie movies and commercials and stuff. So I was used to like, you know, going where there's like craft services and you break at lunch and everybody goes and gets like the craft services food and somebody has, and like back in the early days of Penthouse when I was working there, it was like that. Like literally there were people cooking and like, you know what I mean? Like it was a whole thing. And I was like, wow, like this is, and I get to have sex. This rules. Like this is the best shit in the world. You know, and it all depends on like what studios you're shooting for and stuff. That can still happen sometimes if you're shooting for like big productions.
Yeah.
But a lot of times that's, you know, not craft services isn't really to be expected that much anymore. Sure. But yeah, it's, you know, it just blew my mind. Like I had no idea that it wasn't.
What do you think? How demanding is mentally and physically to be a porn talent?
Physically, it depends on what kind of performer you are, right? Because there's people who can do, you know, POV stuff where you never see their face and they literally just sit there. And that's fine. Like that's all the mental part, right? Because you just have to stay hard. You have to know how to activate yourself to come easily. You know, that the POV thing is one thing. But if you're gonna do more extreme, wild positions and all that kind of stuff, like you have to be in some sense, if not physically fit, then have significant endurance.
Right.
Because like that's another thing that people don't really factor in, I think, a lot when they watch porn and stuff. They're like, yeah, I could fuck for 30 minutes and do that. It's like,
but in reality it's 4 hours.
Yeah, but sometimes, you know, it lasts a bit longer than that. And also, I mean, you know, it's not like you're doing just like a regular position like you would at home. Like you have to open, like you're fucking sitting weird doing the thing. Like you have to figure out. I had a joke that I would always call it porn jitsu, like jujitsu, because it's like literally you have to find your anchor and just make whatever make it work somehow. Like, you know, you're covered in oil and you're laying your back on the floor and the girl's riding on top of you. You got your legs on the couch. You're like, where are my points of contact that I can actually hold still and like move? Like you got to find that. And so it is physically demanding as hell. I'll say. Your cardio's got to be all right. I fucking hate cardio, but sex is the only cardio that I can like trick myself into doing. And then, you know, the mental part for sure, man. Like if, you know, it depends. I'm like the first time I ever did like a DP scene, like I was not fucking ready. Like I was just like, I was terrified. Like I was like 3 years in maybe. And I was like, you know, I grew up in like country Ohio. Like I didn't have a lot of like experience in all this kind of wild stuff. And so the very first DP scene I ever shot, like it was this big orgy scene. And like we were shooting this thing and we were doing this big orgy and the camera's all going around. And the director PT at one point is like, hey, it's time for the DP. Like everybody stop, like have some water. So we're going to set up the DP shot. And so I heard that, and I literally hid behind the couch because I was like, I don't want to fucking do that shit. Like, that's crazy. Like, I'm not doing that. And then all of a sudden, the French girl's like looking around, and she's like, I want Ramon. And then she's like, and where's Xander? And I was like, fuck, god damn it. Like, and so I like literally popped up like, hey, I was just charging my phone. I'm right here. And so Ramon, Ramon, the dickhead he was being that day. I love Ramon, but like, the what he did to me was he was like, all right, so we're gonna do the DP. He was like, have you done this before? And I was like, no, but I can figure it out. It's probably easy. And he was like, all right, we'll make it easy. Basically, and he was like, you're gonna anchor. And I was like, okay. Like, I was like,
Okay.
Whatever that means,
Deep
I guess.
water.
And he was like,
Deep water.
yeah. And so like fucking Ramon's ass just tells me like, yeah, you're gonna do this now. And I was like, cool, thanks for the help. Like, and I just trusted him. Like, oh yeah, he's clearly giving me the easier job. And so I like laid down, and she gets on top, and she's in like regular cowgirl. It helped that there were like big boobs in my face. But the he gets on top, and I don't know if you shot or know Ramon at all, but he's a sweaty fucking guy. And so like, we're shooting this thing, and like I didn't take anything, so I'm just like really just my mind is just like stay hard, enjoy boobs, enjoy whatever, like let's like we got this. And Ramon, there was one point where like apparently I was just making a face like like I don't know if I'm okay with this. And I remember Ramon taps me while we're in the scene. He goes, Xander, are you okay? And like I opened my eyes and I like looked at him and I was like, and then he hit like sweat just like dripped onto my face from his face. And then this weird, it was like this moment in like a war movie, where there's like in Saving Private Ryan, where like they're all shell shocked, and then all of a sudden the battle comes back in, and they're in the zone. It was so weird because like literally it hit me, and I was just like, oh my god, this is horrifying. Like I'm getting sweated on by this fucking guy, and like I don't know what to do. Like I was just like, and then all of a sudden it was just like, and I was like, okay. Yeah, and I think I was like the weirdest thing that could have happened to me so far just happened. So this is fine now. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it was one of those things where I just got literally, and I'm actually thankful that I got thrown into anchoring the first time, because it was just like one of those things where it's like here in the fire, figure it out, motherfucker. And I was like, okay, like I was just like, there it is. So yeah, man, that was a one of my level up moments, I would say in the.
Could you name 3 good things regarding this job?
Yeah. 3 things that are really good. I would say the structure of testing is fantastic. I really, really like, because I'm a very sexually fucking just like I'm just an animal. Like I love sex. I love having sex and playing and doing all those things. Like it's a big part of like who I am. And I like being in an industry where that is a safe place to do that. You know what I mean? Like think of like, like another big positive for me for the industry, I would say, is just the work that you get to see done by like performers and companies to like change the stigma that's been held about so many performers for so long. There's a lot of people, like I worked, I helped start a group back in Vegas called Suede Vegas. That was a basically a sex worker mutual aid fund. Okay. And so we would raise money to help sex workers pay their bills or get, medical treatments or just whatever it was. We just wanted to help people. And, people in the world aren't really too keen on helping sex workers in general. That's not really a thing that happens. So I love seeing, sex workers be on, mainstream stuff to help kind of like get rid of the stigma of like, oh, we're a bunch of crazy, dangerous fucking people or whatever. I love that. And also I really just love the people that I've gotten to interact with in the industry. Like, there's some fucking weapons grade douchebags and like terrible people, of course, in every industry. Yeah, sure. You know what I mean? This is definitely going to happen. But then also at the same time, you meet some of the most, especially considering the stigma, just some of the most incredible fucking people in this industry. Like artists and, like for instance, like I play in a D&D group with another like like famous porn performer, like Cherie DeVille, and she's like a fucking genius who just like is like a nurse, and just like she's just amazing. And so like there's so many just amazing human beings I've gotten to meet through this industry, and just getting to learn about different walks of life that I probably would have never like interacted with if it wasn't for, you know, porn. Like I said, I grew up in Ohio. It's a very like right-wing conservative country kind of place that you're not gonna explore different things. You're gonna get married at 18 and do missionary for the rest of your fucking life. Like that's what it is. And you know, if Ohio people are watching this, I don't give a shit if you're offended. Like, I don't care, because you're from Ohio and you should be tougher than that. But so,
well,
you know,
I can assure that the 90% of the population on the globe are only doing missionary positions. That's it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's true.
And what are your I don't know, your goals for the forthcoming couple of years? You want to stay here in Europe and doing your productions, or?
Yeah, I'm just trying to see where I feel the most comfortable. You know, like I've still got my place back in the U.S. We're just renting it out. And, you know, I just wanted to come here and just see the differences and maybe try a couple different countries out.
Right.
You know, stay in Spain, Portugal and we'll see. Yeah, we'll see. But yeah, just
maybe for
yeah,
no.
Right. Yeah, no, never mind. So Portugal, Spain, maybe like stay in Czech for a little bit, just like see what that's all like.
Right.
Just getting to meet different people. And,
now you should come to Hungary. Come on.
Yeah, and obviously
Budapest.
I don't know if they'll. Yeah, I don't know if how the Budapest, like I think MindGeek has some productions in Budapest, but I don't think it's as much. I think it's mostly Prague, but I want to see Budapest, like the city itself. Like I would love that. And I know one Hungarian word already, so that's good.
Good. What is it?
Lampa.
Lampa.
Lampa?
Lampa?
Do I not know that word? Is it light? I thought it was light.
No, it's light. Yeah, it's light. It's light. Lampa.
How do you say it?
Lampa.
Okay.
No, it's lampa. That's it.
Lampa. Okay,
lampa,
cool.
That's it.
Nice.
Why that word? I mean, usually people learn like, hi, how are you? Thank you. Thanks. No, you light.
Because there's a I shot for a Hungarian director and producer back in California a lot. This guy Andrej, I think was his name.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. You probably know.
I know him. Yeah.
So he would always yell that at his PA.
Okay.
So I would be like Lampo, like, and so like I was like, okay. Got it. Yeah, he would say that to the PA, so then that's how I figured out what that word was. Because I remember just asking one day, I was like, "Does that mean light?" Because you say that to him a lot. Like, yeah,
it's cool. Do you have any advices to give for young people when to start this business? Maybe.
Yeah. Check your tests. Check your tests. And I love the fact that there's people who are doing independent OnlyFans, ManyVids, all that kind of stuff. Like, I think that's great. And that gives, just with my, like, you know, political thoughts and all that kind of stuff, I think workers should be able to be in control of their own shit. I think that's great. I want the most amount of independence that people can have, I think is great, like financially.
Sure.
So I think it's wonderful that those things exist. But you need to check in with other people who might know these people that you're wanting to shoot with or whatnot. Like, you have to, like, you know, even for here, like I obviously contacted, you know, Brillbabes and some of the other agencies know me out here.
Right.
So that's who I try to book through before I just like ask girls to, hey, do you want to come shoot content? I'll fly you out.
Sure.
I'd rather book you through your agency first. And then be like, hey, like, just so you know that I'm legit, like, I'll pay for this scene, blah, blah, blah. Now that we know each other, now that we know things are safe and official and real, then we can talk about doing content and flying stuff in later. You know what I mean?
Sure.
But there's been a lot of issues, especially in the US, with, like, you know, somebody creating profiles and being like, hey, I'm this fucking performer person, whatever, blah, blah, like buying followers and doing whatever else to make them seem super legit, and then taking advantage of people. You know, and that's just, I would say the biggest thing that you can do is just make sure the people that you're working with are legit. Make sure that, you know, you can check tests, and because really, like, honestly, like, this business is like, 90% word of mouth. Like you like, you know, like you can look super hot on your profiles and have all these kind of whatever, blah, blah, blah. But, you know, if you're not going to continue to be hired or continue to be anything, if you're showing up on set and people are like, yeah, they look great, but they're a fucking asshole. Like,
Right.
you know what I mean? Like, it's not going to, nobody's going to want to work with you. Like, nobody's going to want to hire you. You know, it's you know, causing problems, whatever else.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, be well behaved on your own. You know what I mean? Like show up ready to work, show up like excited, and you know, just like, you know, everybody has bad days, of course, but like, you know, be a professional and make sure the people that you're working with are also professionals. Because you don't want to get fucked over either. You don't want to get you know, anything worse. So that would be my biggest advice. Yeah, and make time for yourself, because I feel like people get lost in their stage name a lot.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? They become the porn star or whatever thing, and they forget about the actual like human being that they are and the things that that human being needs.
Yeah.
And that needs to be, you know, especially when you're young coming into this business, man. Like, especially if you're young coming in and it's successful for you, like you're making a bunch of money, you're, you know, getting flown around the world, blah, 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 and like, you need to be able to step back and like center yourself and like remember who you are, and not just what the business is. You know what I mean? So,
yeah, I think this is valid for all the you know, like music industry or even like in movies, same thing. You know, success can change people like from one day to another, and
absolutely,
and yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Xander,
that's why I play D&D and stuff with all my buddies from Ohio. Like every Saturday night we get together and play D&D with all the boys. So
cool.
It's fun. But sorry, go ahead.
Xander, no, thank you very much for this little quick podcast that we had, and I really hope to see you here in Budapest in the near future.
I will definitely let you know when I come to Budapest. Yeah, that'd be really cool. How do you say see you soon in Hungarian?
Nem sokára.
Nem sokára.
Nem sokára. Okay.
Nem sokára. Got it.
Thank you.